The story begins by introducing a married couple, Cliff and Elsa, two brilliant scientists working at a medical company conducting research to create a cure-all drug that can heal any disease. Cliff and Elsa focused on protein compounds from living organisms, combining various animal DNA to create a new species capable of producing unique proteins for revolutionary medicine.
So cute.
This is the species resulting from the combination of various animal DNA. Cliff and Elsa are now in the second phase, mating two different species, male and female, to produce a new species for protein research. With this breakthrough, they approached the company's owner to request permission to advance the experiment further, combining human DNA with animal DNA. It sounded insane, but it aligned with the project's ultimate goal, creating a cure from living organism proteins. Cliff and Elsa believed that proteins from a human-animal hybrid species would be superior and significantly accelerate the research process. However, since the idea was still theoretical, the owner firmly rejected their request. Involving human DNA in an unproven experiment could spark moral controversy, public outrage, and even criminal charges. The owner insisted they focus solely on the male and female hybrid species they had already created. Elsa, however, was the most resistant to this decision. Disliking being restricted, she secretly took a sample from her own body and, without the company's knowledge, illegally proceeded with the experiment to combine human and animal DNA.
1 in a million.
Although Cliff disagreed, he reluctantly followed Elsa's determination. Within a month, they succeeded in creating a human-animal hybrid embryo. They injected it into a human ovum, placing it in a special glass tank where the fetus began to grow. Cliff kept the entire project secret, even from his brother Gavin, who worked in the same lab. Elsa panicked briefly when the fetus stopped developing, but it soon recovered. At home, she shared her excitement with Cliff, confident their experiment was showing progress. Despite its illegality, Elsa believed the company would support their project once the results were undeniable. When Elsa arrived at the lab, she was met with panic, as the fetus they were working on was in critical condition. Determined to save it, she extracted it with her bare hands, but her hand got stuck when the fetus stung her. Cliff quickly opened the tank's bottom hatch, freeing her hand. The next morning, they returned to check the fetus, now in a box, unsure if it was alive. While Cliff stepped out to retrieve a tool, Elsa discovered the box was empty. The creature, resembling a hairless, handless rat, had escaped. When Cliff tried to kill it with gas, Elsa stopped him, removing her mask to lure the creature closer. After being subdued with anesthetic gas, Elsa took a sample of the toxin from the creature's tail. They discovered a shocking fact. The creature experienced rapid cell division, meaning it grew quickly, aged quickly, and would die quickly as well. This meant Cliff and Elsa had limited time to study the creature and record everything they needed. 7 days later, the creature had grown into a toddler-like being that was difficult to control. Elsa was forced to restrain it with a leash, treating it like a pet while trying to feed it. However, when offered porridge mixed with slices of meat, the creature refused to eat. Instead, it showed interest in candy that happened to be nearby. Elsa realized the creature preferred sucrose, or sugar. To make it eat, she mixed candy into its porridge. Elsa then began dressing the creature in girls' clothing, as it was revealed to be female. The creature demonstrated above-average intelligence, successfully passing various tests and even understanding written language on Elsa's shirt. Inspired by this, Elsa decided to name the creature Dren, derived from the word nerd, spelled backward. However, Elsa's decision to take Dren out of the lab sparked conflict. Cliff scolded her, warning that such a move was highly risky and could expose Dren's existence. His fears were soon justified when Gavin, Cliff's curious younger brother, forced his way into the lab, and something unexpected happened.
No!
After securing Dren, Cliff persuaded Gavin to keep this a secret. Whether Gavin agreed or not, he decided to remain silent as long as it didn't interfere with his work. With Gavin out of the way, Cliff and Elsa faced another issue. Dren experienced a sudden increase in body temperature. To help, they placed her in water, and to their surprise, Dren revealed amphibious lungs, allowing her to survive underwater. Being a hybrid created from various life forms, Dren was capable of living in both worlds and possessed far more complex organs than any other living creature. Dren eventually grew into a teenager with her own sleeping area. Elsa deliberately treated her this way to keep her calm, ensuring that their research could continue without interruptions. For a moment, the focus shifted away from Dren to Cliff and Elsa's main project, the two male and female species introduced at the beginning of the story. These two creatures were set to demonstrate sexual reproduction. However, chaos ensued during the experiment, leading to the project being shut down. As a result, Cliff and Elsa were reassigned to another division, focusing solely on pharmaceutical research. Their work with hybrids was officially over. Faced with the permanent closure of the lab, Cliff and Elsa had no choice but to relocate Dren. They decided to move her to a storage barn near Elsa's old family home, located far from urban areas. But as they tried to bring her inside, Dren suddenly broke free from the bag she was carried in and fled into the woods behind the barn. They found her devouring a live rabbit she had caught. Elsa, acting as a mother figure, scolded Dren for her behavior. The next morning, while Cliff and Elsa adjusted to their new jobs, Dren explored her new home. She played with dripping water and eventually found an old box of Elsa's childhood belongings. While rummaging through it, Dren discovered a doll and realized that, like the doll, a girl was supposed to have long hair. Inspired, she began contemplating her own appearance. One day, Dren noticed a neighbor's cat eating nearby. She quickly lured the cat into her bedroom. That evening, when Cliff and Elsa returned, Dren threw a tantrum, refusing to eat because she was tired of being confined in the barn. She began acting out by messing up the table and food before climbing to the top of the barn. Cliff and Elsa rushed after her, but to their surprise, Dren revealed she had wings and back fins resembling fish spines. She suddenly took flight, escaping from them. Cliff sincerely told Dren that he and Elsa deeply needed her and truly cared about her. The next morning, while Cliff went to work, Elsa stayed behind at the barn. She tried dressing Dren up like a conventional teenage girl. However, Elsa soon discovered that Dren was secretly keeping a cat. Worried that Dren might harm it like she did with the rabbit in the forest, Elsa immediately took the cat away. That night, after Cliff returned from work and found Elsa fast asleep, he approached Dren, who looked upset. Not wanting Dren to stay in a state of sadness that might affect her psychological condition, Cliff played music and taught Dren how to dance. The moment became unexpectedly emotional and warm. The next morning, feeling guilty about her actions, Elsa decided to return the cat to Dren. When Dren climbed down from the ceiling, Elsa apologized for her recent strict and harsh behavior. As a gesture of apology, she offered to give the cat back. However, to Elsa's horror, Dren killed the cat with her tail and threatened Elsa, in an attempt to take the key to the door. Acting quickly, Elsa managed to knock Dren out from behind. When Dren regained consciousness, she found herself tied to a table. Elsa planned to cut off Dren's sharp, venomous tail, believing it was too dangerous for those around her. Shortly after, Cliff arrived, and Elsa left for work, bringing the severed tail sample with her. Using the sample, Elsa finally discovered what they had been searching for all along: the primary protein that could become the foundation for creating a cure for numerous diseases. Elsa managed to silence her demanding boss, who was constantly pressuring her for results, while Cliff kept an eye on Dren, who was casually swimming in the water tank. Curious to check on Dren's condition after her tail was cut off, Cliff was unexpectedly greeted with affection by Dren, who had now matured into adulthood. This led to a forbidden act. Cliff betrayed his wife by engaging in an affair with the strange creature. Things took a dramatic turn when Elsa, returning home from work, caught them in the act. A heated argument ensued, with both defending their actions. Amidst the chaos, they realized Dren might have been trying to escape after what had happened earlier that day. However, instead of fleeing, Dren was found in a critical state, seemingly dying from the tail amputation. Accepting that her life could not be saved, Cliff and Elsa decided to bury her behind the barn. Their attempt to move on was interrupted when Gavin arrived, having been forced to betray them by their boss. The boss demanded to claim Dren as company property. Even after Cliff and Elsa explained that Dren was dead and buried, the boss refused to believe them. When Elsa threw a shovel at him and told him to dig up the body himself, something shocking happened. Dren was not dead. Instead, she had shed her old skin and transformed into a more mature form. In her new form, Dren killed Gavin by dragging him into the secluded forest. Cliff and Elsa, terrified, fled into the woods. While running, Cliff dropped his flashlight into a small river and went after it, accidentally falling into the water. After struggling to surface, Cliff managed to climb out but collapsed from the cold. Meanwhile, Elsa was left alone and shocked as Dren emerged from the water with a new appearance, having undergone a transformation that also changed her gender. Dren was now male. When Elsa tried to escape, Dren caught her from behind. In a horrifying revelation, Dren made his intentions clear. He wanted to mate with Elsa and produce offspring. At the same time, Cliff finally regained consciousness and without wasting any time stabbed Dren from behind. However, Dren still refused to die. The tension escalated as Dren stood back up with a much larger body. Just as Dren thrust its stinger into Cliff's chest, Elsa appeared holding a large rock, and this is what happened sometime after the nightmare ended. Elsa was summoned by the company owner to take responsibility for her actions. Strangely, she didn't have to pay any fines or go to prison. Instead, she was simply required to give birth to the offspring of her and Dren's union, which was considered the foundation of a major medical breakthrough. The story ends here with a rather ambiguous conclusion. It remains unknown what will happen to Elsa afterward. Will she survive after giving birth? No one knows. What is certain, however, is that her husband has been confirmed dead, killed by Dren's venomous stinger.